Now, one of the more interesting movie stories of 2023, I mean, we had like the big hits, Mario Brothers, Barbie, obviously. We had the big misses, whether it's Blue Beetle, Flash, Indiana Jones. But there have been a couple of other really interesting movie stories, and I think one of the more interesting ones was Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid was a movie that came out and opened to like $95 million, which was an okay opening weekend for a big movie. But it also had a lot of people thinking and looking at the momentum it had and all that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of bullshit controversy surrounding it because she's not white. Anyway, fucking sucky babies. Anyway, all that surrounding it. And I'm not even really a big fan, to be honest with you, of the original animated Little Mermaid, but I saw it. I thought this live action version was actually quite good, but it didn't look like it was even going to make like, say, $400 million at the box office. Well, it had incredible legs, no pun intended. It had incredible legs in it, and it went on to make $570 million, which is not exactly blockbuster numbers, but when you're talking about like a year where, I mean, that made more than Mission Impossible, made more than Indiana Jones, made more than most comic book movies that came out that year, all that kind of stuff. It just held on, eventually became profitable, made $570 million. And now it debuted on Disney Plus, and according to reports, it's the biggest launch they've had this year. This comes to us from Joe Blow, who wrote the following. Disney's live-action remake of The Little Mermaid debuted on Disney Plus last week and made one hell of a splash. According to Disney, The Little Mermaid garnered 16 million views in its first 5 days on the streaming service, which makes it the most-watched Disney movie premiere on Disney Plus since the release of Hocus Pocus 2, which I still have no idea how that movie did the numbers that it did. The biggest launch since Hocus Pocus 2 last year in 2022. So Little Mermaid comes out, their biggest launch of the year, but it's actually the next little feather in its cap of kind of an impressive 2023. Take a look at this. The Little Mermaid in 2023, first of all, worldwide, it's the number 7 box office film of the year. Worldwide at $570 million. At just the domestic box office, it's up at number 6. Only 5 other films this entire year have made more money at the box office than The Little Mermaid did at $98 million. And this newest one you see here at the bottom, that Disney, it's the number 1 launch that they've had of the year in 2023 with 16 million downloads. Now look, let's not paint a false picture here that all this means that this was an unimaginable success for Disney. It wasn't. But considering how it started, if you had told a lot of people during its opening weekend that, hey, by the end of its run, it would be the number 7 worldwide box office film, the number 6 domestic box office film, and be the number 1 launch on Disney Plus of the year, I don't think a lot of people, maybe even including me, would have believed you. So they took what some people interpreted as a bit of a struggling start and turned it into a pretty respectable run for it. And I think, again, much like Elemental had insane legs to carry it to what it eventually accomplished, I think this is really a testimony to the fact that this was just a very good movie. I'm not going to end up being one of my top 5 favorite of the year, but it was a very good movie that I enjoyed a lot. I liked it even more than the original animated one myself. I know that's sacrilegious to say amongst some people. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Vessi, the shoe that claims to be incredibly comfortable and waterproof on top of that. Well, these claims are really interesting to me because as a Canadian who walked around in a lot of snow, and as somebody who likes to go camping and hiking with his wife on the weekends, there's nothing more uncomfortable and horrible than walking around in wet feet. So after receiving my first pair of Vessis and noticing how incredibly good looking the shoes are and how mind-boggling comfortable and flexible they are, the first thing I did was I took them into the backyard to put it to the supreme waterproof test and dipped my feet in my pool. Guys, my feet were bone dry, and like 20 seconds after having them in the pool and I touched them, the shoes themselves were also bone dry. Guys, seriously, these shoes are stupidly comfortable, they look great, and they absolutely lived up to the claim of being waterproof and keeping my feet dry. I absolutely love my Vessi shoes. So guys, if you want shoes that are good looking, are ridiculously comfortable, and on top of all that, waterproof, you need to head to vessi.com/Campea and get yourselves a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get shoes for your best summer yet. Anyway, Chris, you're looking at these numbers. How surprised are you by them? And out of those three particular categories, number 7 worldwide, number 6 domestically, number 1 launch on Disney Plus for the year, which one stands out to you the most as being the most impressive?
The one I want to talk about the most is those digital numbers, because, oh my gosh, can you track those, Bob? That's wild. You can track those numbers and know exactly how many people have watched this. That's so interesting.
Counterpoint, didn't make Disney Plus any more money that they had.
Of course
those
it
numbers.
didn't. But for all of your other streaming options, oh my God, you can track it. No, I think this is wonderful, especially because I think so many people were also saying this was a flop of a film. Too,
during its first day of release.
Yeah,
or before it even released.
The narrative of this was just so ridiculous of, it doesn't have huge numbers at the box office. It's a failure. Oh, well, it's not performing well overseas. Oh,
remember,
it's a
those
failure.
same places said the same thing opening weekend of Avatar 2.
Exactly.
Not that this had Avatar 2's results.
Well, and that's what I think we always keep coming back to, too, is the weekend box office, while it's great when it does really, really well, the legs are much more important. The longevity of a film doing well and people continuing to go to theaters, that's really what matters here, is getting the rest of your budget paid for with these viewings. And that's not always going to happen those first 2 to 3 days. So it's great to see that this is performing so well online. I'm sure this is also, though, to your point, another moment for Disney of going, wow, we really need to put ads and shit on here so we can make money off of this streaming service. Yeah. Because right now, the subscription fee for Disney Plus is, in my opinion, very, very reasonable for everything you get on it. And I don't know why they haven't tried doing more ads and everything. It just seems like something from the jump that should have been happening. Even doing those little, I know this isn't popular, but doing the pre-release payments too for their movies at first, like they did in the pandemic, of like, you can watch this for $20. I don't know why they haven't been doing a, hey,
well,
dude,
a lot of their subscribers kind of revolted.
did they get really,
again, we're really upset by that.
You could just do like $2 though. I mean, I'll pay $2 for shit. Mm.
Did you see the story we did yesterday about how Disney Plus is now going to be on Spectrum Charter cable? If you're a Spectrum Charter cable subscriber, you're now going to have, you don't have to go and subscribe to Disney Plus. You're going to have it on your cable packaging, the ad supported tier.
So they're all kumbaya now, because I know like last week we were like,
they're all holding hands and love each other, and now Disney's going to get 14 million more not subscribers, but 14 million more households that can watch Disney Plus content with commercials running on it. So, I mean, it's an interesting move for them. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.